Imagine this. You're born into a life where even your toothbrush might be designed by your family's company. You wake up in a smart home built with Samsung components. You check the markets on your Samsung phone. The stocks you're watching are also Samsung. And just before breakfast, you glance out the penthouse window at a skyline partly built by your grandfather's construction arm. This isn't fantasy. It's the real life of South Korea's most powerful dynasty, the Lee family. They don't just run a company. They've shaped a nation. But for all the jets, jewels, and billion-dollar boardroom deals, this empire has a dark undercurrent. Political scandals, bribery, mysterious pardons, and a son who went from Forbes covers to a jail cell and back again. In the winter of 2014, a private plane descended quietly onto a Tokyo runway. On board was Lee Kun-hee, the man who ruled Samsung like a shadow monarch, whose influence reached from microchips to presidents. He had collapsed in his luxury suite and would never speak again. Yet during those 6 silent years before his death, Samsung grew richer. The family tightened its grip, and South Korea watched as a single bloodline quietly dictated the future of an entire economy. It all began humbly. Before smartphones or semiconductors, Samsung was just a small trading company founded in 1938 in Busan by Lee Byung-chul. He wasn't born powerful. He was a landowner's son who defied his father's plan to run a rice mill. Instead, he borrowed money, started a company selling dried fish, noodles, and sugar, and named it Samsung, meaning 3 stars, something lasting and strong. Post-war Korea was unstable and poor. Where others saw chaos, Lee saw opportunity. He bet on insurance, textiles, logistics, and eventually manufacturing, making Korean goods for Korean people, a bold move in a country flooded by Japanese imports. That ambition collided with politics. In 1961, General Park Chung-hee seized power in a coup and promised rapid industrialization, but under strict state control. Lee Byung-chul's banks were seized. He was accused of corruption, a clear message: align with the state or lose everything. Lee adapted. He apologized publicly and quietly forged ties with Park's regime. In return, Samsung got state-backed loans, land, import licenses, and a role in Korea's 5-year economic development plans. It was a trade-off that defined the K-ball system. Family-run conglomerates that fueled Korea's miracle growth, but created a private-public power web. By the late 1960s, Samsung launched electronics, starting with black and white TVs. By the 1970s, it expanded aggressively into chemicals and heavy industry. Factories rose, shipping fleets expanded, and the name Samsung became synonymous with national progress. Yet success tied them to the state. Once you accept power's hand, you can't let go. When Lee Byung-chul died in 1987, his third son, Lee Kun-hee, took over. He seemed shy, intellectual, quiet, but had a steel spine. At that time, Samsung was big in Korea, but mocked abroad as a maker of cheap appliances. In 1993, at a fateful executive retreat in Germany, Lee Kun-hee shocked his team with a single order: change everything except your wife and children. He shut down low-quality factories, fired or retrained thousands, and demanded world-class design and manufacturing. Samsung pivoted hard into semiconductors, displays, and premium electronics. When 150,000 defective phones turned up, he had them publicly destroyed, a bonfire of mediocrity. The message: no more cheap knockoffs. It worked. Through the 1990s and 2000s, Samsung became a tech powerhouse. Its chips fueled PCs and servers worldwide. Its flat-screen TVs and sleek phones rivaled Sony and Apple. Its brand shifted from budget to aspirational. Olympic sponsorships, Formula One ads, gleaming flagship stores. Samsung learned how to sell not just devices but prestige. Even Apple, its fiercest rival, relied on Samsung for cutting-edge parts. But the empire had shadows. Lee Kun-hee kept control through a tangle of cross-shareholdings, dozens of companies owning one another in a loop only the family fully understood. Outsiders couldn't easily challenge them. And South Koreans were growing uneasy with chaebols. Corruption scandals were mounting. In 2008, prosecutors indicted Lee Kun-hee for tax evasion and breach of trust, billions hidden under employee names, murky asset transfers to prepare for his son's inheritance. He publicly bowed, resigned, and was later convicted, but served no jail time, just a fine and a suspended sentence. Then came a twist. South Korea needed Samsung's clout to win and host the Olympics. Within a year, Lee Kun-hee was pardoned for the national good. He returned to power stronger. Still, succession loomed. Enter his only son, J.Y. Lee, tall, polished, Western-educated, seemingly modern and reformist. But Jae Young, as many call him, would inherit more than wealth. He would inherit scrutiny. In 2017, he was arrested amid South Korea's largest corruption scandal in decades. Prosecutors said he approved $38 million in bribes tied to the then-president's confidant to secure a key merger cementing his control of Samsung. Courtroom drama gripped the nation. The heir was convicted of bribery and sentenced to 5 years. But after just a year, an appeals court freed him, citing insufficient proof of direct quid pro quo. Public outrage was intense. Yet Samsung rolled on. Promises of reform came and went. J.Y. Lee vowed transparency, even claimed he'd end dynastic succession. Then, new probes found stock manipulation tied to that same merger. In 2021, he was convicted again, sentenced to 2.5 years, and returned to prison, only to be pardoned in 2022, once more in the name of economic stability. Twice imprisoned, twice freed. The pattern continued, too vital to punish fully, too powerful to ignore. Samsung isn't just a company. It's a pillar of South Korea's economy, roughly 20% of GDP when you add its affiliates. Phones, chips, hospitals, insurance, shipbuilding, even theme parks. Its reach is everywhere. That power protects the family, but also isolates them. When Lee Kun-hee died in 2020, the Lees faced the largest inheritance tax in Korean history, about $10 billion. To pay, they sold stock, pledged assets, and donated over 23,000 artworks, including Monet's and Picasso's, to national museums. Yet control stayed intact thanks to the company's web of ownership. And with J.Y. Lee at the top, Samsung pivots again, pushing into AI chips, 5G networks, foldable devices, biotech, and global manufacturing at unimaginable scale. But the bigger story is how Samsung's fate mirrors South Korea's own. Rapid growth, global respect, but lingering tension about fairness and transparency. Younger Koreans admire the tech but resent inherited dynasties. Lawmakers keep vowing reform, yet the chaebol system endures. Globally, Samsung sits at the core of our digital lives. Its chips power data centers, gaming rigs, electric cars, even spacecraft. Its patents shape future phones and displays. Its marketing makes the brand aspirational worldwide. And still, the empire's stability hinges on one family navigating legal storms, public skepticism, and fierce competition. The Samsung story isn't just about business. It's about power, how it's built, protected, and challenged. It's about a dynasty born from dried fish and ambition, transformed into a tech empire that can sway economies and politics alike. And it's about what happens when success becomes so big, it must be defended as if it were a nation itself. If you found this story fascinating, the hidden dynasties shaping our world, the luxury, the power, and the drama behind global empires, subscribe to this channel. This is where we explore the untold stories of wealth and influence, peeling back the polished surface to show how the world's biggest fortunes are really built. Hit subscribe and join us as we uncover more of these extraordinary worlds.